Hi, everybody. This is Susanna Schlestein, and today I'm going to take you on a virtual tour of the Guggenheim Art Museum. I'd like to look at the New York City Guggenheim. However, there are 4 locations worldwide. The Guggenheim in New York is probably the most famous, at least to people in the United States. I wanted to focus on the New York City building because it was designed by the architect Frank Lloyd Wright, and it's considered his final masterpiece by many. On the page in front of you, I have some examples of photographs of the interior of the design by Frank Lloyd Wright. I wanted to focus on this because Frank Lloyd Wright was born and raised in Richland Center, Wisconsin, which is only about 2 hours from where I live and teach. There's also his home school studio, Taliesin, which is in Spring Green and not too far from where we live also. Throughout the state of Wisconsin, especially down in the southern areas, there are lots of buildings that have been designed by Wright. And I imagine that some of my students have seen some of his buildings without even knowing it and would get the opportunity on visits to Madison, to UW, Wisconsin, and would be able to appreciate some of his architecture. So I'd like to focus on him and use that as inspiration for designing a mini lesson for my middle school students. So I'd like to go back now to the home page. As you can see on the left, there is a menu of resources, and I would like to start first with the online resources. This opens up to a new page, and there's several choices here. You can see Guggenheim at large, tours and activities, collections online, etc. I'd like to start first by getting you acquainted with their online collection. They have it organized very nicely. You can see across the top there's a toolbar. And this online collection features over 1,700 artworks by more than 625 artists. And it's really easy to search. So I think it's something that you could really utilize with your students in the classroom. If you want, you can just scroll down through and look at the featured artists that they have on their page. Or you can be very specific and do a search based on an artist, which they have all of the artists here listed in alphabetical order. So you could just pick one. I will choose Ai Weiwei because he's right here at the top of the list. And after you've chosen that artist, you get kind of a brief biography about the artist's life and their work. As you scroll down, any artwork they have by that artist in their collection will show up here. And when you click on it, it enlarges it. So you get a really nice photograph or reproduction of the artwork. And you can enlarge it another time. The feature I wish they had is zoom in, or being able to rotate. If this is a sculptural piece, which it is, I'd like to see it from some more views. However, they only have this one. There is artist and work information along the bottom, so you can get dimensions and medium and date, all those important things that you might need for reference. If you're more interested in art movements, there's a whole list, and whatever you might be studying, if you're doing a lesson on abstract expressionism, you can bring up all of the different abstract expressionist artists and works that they have in their online collection, and a definition. And if you click on the specific work, it brings you to a page where you can access more about the artist. So we see de Kooning here, a very beautiful painting. You can search by dates. I like to go into the 1980s and see what was happening back when I was in high school. You can see the collection that they have. You can also search by venues or special collections. However, I don't feel that as an educator, those are going to be as useful as perhaps the artists, the movements, and mediums I liked a lot. Because if I'm doing a lesson on sculpture and I want to see what's available and find some resources for my students, there's the one by Ai Weiwei. I can scroll through, and if there's something that I feel is relevant to my class, then I can bring up more information. Okay, so I'm going to go back to online resources. I wasn't real thrilled with the organization of this website. I felt as though I had to go to several pages to find the things that were important to me as an educator. Because on the home page, I couldn't find like a tab for education or um, instructional resources, things like that. But when I went to Guggenheim at large, it took me to the things I was really looking for as a teacher. So if you scroll down through this page, there is the Guggenheim Circular, which kind of highlights themes in art. They have a really nice one on community and some artwork in their collection that reflects that. It also will link you to educational resources that have to do with that theme. There's online programs and resources. So here's some links. You can attend a virtual guided tour, virtual works in process theater, special strollers. There's a family resource page, and this includes at-home classes for families and of all ages. You've got little kids that can do like a mommy and me class. There are classes for teenagers and for the elementary school age, and lots of nice videos, drawing videos and things that you could probably use in the classroom. Here is their resource for educators, and I was really excited about this because they offer some digital tours of the museum specifically geared towards whatever age kid you're teaching, and you can have them actually design a tour that is relevant to your curriculum, or you can choose from several that they have listed here. One that I would do is the Places and Spaces Architecture Tour. It features unexpected architecture and artwork. In this tour, students will learn more about Frank Lloyd Wright's unique design for the museum and the history of its landmark building. What I would do as a middle school art teacher is sign up for this tour, which, by the way, is only $75. And I think that's kind of cheap considering what it would cost to actually take students to an art museum. If you live in New York City, it's free, which is really great for residents of New York. Here's some more examples, highlights of their collection, exploring global contemporary art. And then if you work with adults or university students, there's special group tours for those people. And then here's some more, Kandinsky, Clint, working from home. There's also programs for summer associates and school groups for when we can do things in person. So I thought that they had some really nice resources for learning from home or digital learning. And then when we go back to this Guggenheim at large page and continue to scroll down, we have teaching materials. So if I click on that, I can search for information in a variety of different ways. You can choose some filters here along the top: artists, mediums, themes, class subjects. So I know that I want to do a lesson with my students on Frank Lloyd Wright. I really want to try to make a connection there with him being a Wisconsin resident and artist, and also show them the work he did around the world. So I open up the artist selection, and there he is. I can apply the filter, and this will bring me to a page with a couple of lesson plans. I'm going to choose organic architecture. And you can see that in this lesson I get 2 images, one view and discuss, and 3 classroom activities. And I really liked some of the classroom activities. It gives you some brief information here about Frank Lloyd Wright, some bulleted points, some things to view and discuss. And then the classroom activity that I would love to do with my students, maybe before or after their virtual tour, would be to do this organic architecture design. Um, and they would have to design a private home for a specific environment, perhaps a tropical beach, in a city, snow-capped mountains. Discuss how climate and terrain affect architectural design. I think this would be a really good starting point, and perhaps a sculptural project could follow. So I think there's a lot offered here, depending on what you're looking for. I liked also that you could choose by theme if you have your curriculum designed based around themes. There's some nice ones to choose from. I know a lot of people chose the identity theme when working on our curriculum class. Community is a big one right now. Nature narrative. So there's some really great choices in here. You can look at mediums, and also you can make those cross-curricular connections and look for specific subjects. So those are some of the very specific to educator tools. There's also a page just for educators. On the For Educators page, they offer teaching materials, which we just took a look at. They have visiting with your students, some learning opportunities, professional development. If you're able to go on site, you can sign up for some great workshops, things like that. So they are definitely geared towards education. Now I'm going to take you back, and I'd like to show you some of the videos that I thought were really great, especially if you are an elementary teacher. They have some really good drawing class videos, and they're actually only about 5 minutes each. So underneath the video tab, you'll find a whole series of drawing videos called Sketch with Jeff. And I'd love to play you one of them, but my Screencast-O-Matic doesn't record the video from the computer. But I did go through, and there's about 20 episodes I could find so far, and I think the longest one was a little over 5 minutes with all sorts of really great mini drawing lessons. Like he covers continuous line, different points of view, objects and scale, light and drawing, words you can use to create drawings, art from a distance. So there's a whole variety. I think these would be great enrichment videos for if perhaps we're teaching virtually this fall, or you have a kid that really loves to draw and wants some extra, or you just need some short little video clip to drive home an idea you're trying to teach in your class. I believe that kids respond well to a different voice. You know, sometimes after they hear you over and over again every day, they start to block you out. So it's nice to have some different faces, even if it's a video online in your classroom. There's other videos that feature different paintings and artwork in the museum. I think a lot of this might be geared towards the high school. However, you know, you can see there's an artist profile, just an abundance of things to choose from here. Another thing I thought would be really useful, especially to the elementary teacher, is they have a few audio recordings that go along with a specific work of art in the museum. There's not a lot to choose from, but they're nice, short discussions with a kid, and they really ask some good questions, getting students to think about a specific artwork and discuss it more in depth. So you can find that here. And then there's a list. I looked at The Little French Girl by Constantine Brancusi and thought the discussion was really great, but maybe too elementary for what I do. There's so much here to be explored. However, I'm running out of time with my screencast. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you can find something on this beautiful website to use in your classroom. And I think I just skimmed the surface.